Here we go. It's a fundamental question that is not new, and it's not going away. Gambling is not going to happen in the state of Texas anytime soon, other than the state and government-sanctioned form of gambling. That would be the lottery. As long as Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is still in charge of the state of Texas and primary voters dictate everything in the state of Texas, and that's the way it works, gambling is not going to happen here anytime soon. Put whatever over under to it you want. It's not happening anytime soon. Now, some people would say, yes, see, Jeff, what you're about to talk about is the very reason why we shouldn't do it, because it can come with problems. No doubt about it. No doubt. So here's a question to think about. And I've asked this in many different forms with many different issues, many different products. But think about this. Okay? When we as consumers go from use to abuse, how much blame does the marketer, the business, deserve? Right? Because that's what we're really talking about by and large. I know it's uncomfortable. I know you're going to say, well, Jeff, you're making this too simple, but it really is about that. When we go, not if, when we go from use, whatever the product is, to abuse, how much does the marketer deserve to be blamed? For full disclosure, I've done commercials for DraftKings, for a couple of years. So for my podcasts. And so I've got skin in the game in this too. I mean, I could come back to me in some way, I guess. But should the marketer be held accountable when a consumer becomes an addict? You can fill in the blank, the product, whatever sinful product you find. Should the marketer be held accountable when we, and it happens, become an addict? A legal product, by the way. Do you buy the argument that the marketer, the business, is mostly or partly to blame for someone becoming an addict? Now, there's a big difference, again, to be fair to people who use products, even if you find them sinful and distasteful. And that's fine. People that use the products responsibly, and then there's those of us that become addicts. And it is a nightmare, not to gloss over the fact that being an addict is missed in this whole discussion. It is awful. I think we all have or should have empathy for an addict. But we're going to try to define both ethical lines and legal lines now. And we've done this a few different times with a few different product lines. So can a business be guilty of creating an addict? Can a business be guilty, very guilty, of cultivating the addict, super serving the addict? What is the obligation? Right? These are giant ethical discussions, had legal discussions now. What is the obligation for the business, the marketer, in dealing with an addict? How far should I have to go as a business to cut you off? Right? I mean, what is my legal responsibility? And then we can talk about the ethical part of this. I'm fine with that too. When should I cut you off? And am I to blame that you got there in the first place? I ask because a legal case has the potential to be, this could be the big tobacco the big tobacco case. Now, I know that was, based on deception and stuff like that, but this could be big tobacco of the betting world. So can we first agree that a business has at least an ethical obligation? I said ethical, not legal, to cut you off if they know. You agree with that? Now, of course, the billion-dollar question is going to be if they know. Exactly how do I know? I'm not sitting right across from you at the bar. If they think you're an addict, do they have an ethical obligation to cut you off? But what is a betting app supposed to do? Because they want you to keep betting. It's sort of like the argument about the French fries or cigarettes or whatever. Of course, if I sell that product, if I market that product, guess what? I'd like you to consume that product. I'll own it. I'd like you to use my product often. Yep, absolutely. Do I want you to become an addict? I would say mostly no, of course not. But you've become an addict, now what? Now what? And with an addiction are terrible things. With a gambling addiction, terrible things. So, jurors, okay, this will be big. It'll be really, really big. Can it be their fault? How much of this is the app's fault? Can any of it be their fault? All right, here's what's reported now. Now, some people, and, look, if you find gambling completely distasteful and immoral, okay, completely respect that. But there are people that use, and there are people that abuse. But people that say this is the very reason why we didn't want to go down this path, they're going to use this story as an example, I think. All right, 5 men reportedly are trying to launch a class action lawsuit against DraftKings, the online sports betting giant that they say used predatory tactics and deceptive marketing to fuel their gambling addictions. The federal lawsuit claims that instead of trying to help people in the throes of a compulsive gambling addiction, DraftKings targets and exploits these individuals. The company extends promotional deals that offer no sweat bets or deposit matches. I mean, we've stopped there. In my other life, I've taught a marketing course for a long, long time. Absolutely, I would like you to consume my product. And guess what else? I'd like you to be a repeat consumer. So yes, I'm going to offer as many ways to incentivize you to keep using the product. Now, should I be able to do that or not be able to do that? You've become an addict. Now what? And I'm not making light of it. This is awful. The stories are terrible. They're just what you would think. But I mean, how's this going to end? This is now legal in the majority of states except for our state. So this is a way of life, but man, it is about to blow up. How exactly do you get this right, jurors? One of the plaintiffs, who was a teacher, earned about $50,000 a year. And as you can expect, terrible. I bet you most of us know someone, not who's been an addict of substances, but been a gambling addict. And it is a train wreck, right? As everyone knows, addicts will suck the life out of you. He earned $50,000 a year, borrowed money from his loved ones to keep gambling after he drained his own account. In total, he lost $134,000 on DraftKings, according to the lawsuit. After recognizing his gambling had become a problem, one man asked DraftKings to shut down his account permanently. He claims instead the man was able to access it again. Okay, they didn't open it up for free. He gained access again and lost more than $350,000, according to his lawsuit. The lawsuit said the man's life was ruined gambling on DraftKings. He says he lost friends and a job and suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety. All of those things are probably true. Every horrific story is probably true. It ends badly, doesn't it? Okay, now what? You bet. They want you to bet more. You bet again, they send you incentive to bet some more. Yep, that's the way it works. Now what? They can't be forced to pay. Yes, there are ethical issues, right? You're serving, we all know this story. We all know the legal cases. You're sitting at a bar and obviously somebody's starting to drool on themselves. You have an ethical and legal responsibility to cut them off. But this is an app. This is an interaction. This is, how do I know? And should I know that you're a school teacher that makes 50 and not some investment banker that makes 900? Right? I want you to keep betting. The law says we can't, except in Texas, of course. So now what? How's this supposed to end? It's not big tobacco, because big tobacco, which I would argue our doctors told us not to smoke a long time ago. But, you could argue that it was deceptive, that they hid stuff. I don't know. I'm sure they're going to try to prove that with the betting apps, that they're hiding stuff and they're deceptive. But I don't know that I don't know that that applies here. I don't know that it's fair here. It's not a defective product. It's not. Can you say, well, it's not a good idea to do it? Okay, it's not a good idea to do it. Then say that. But I don't know that it's defective, and I don't know that it's deceptive. It's your money. I don't think you jurors can force them to pay. I don't even know. Right? I don't think if you're going to legalize this, and it is, and that's not going away, I don't know how you can force them to pay. Because if they're forced to pay, unless you can absolutely prove, and that doesn't seem to be their argument is you've got a product that can be abused very easily. My clients were abusing the product and you didn't cut them off. That's the argument. But if they have to pay for that, that would never stop. Every dumb thing that we do, every dumb consumption that we make, every stupid thing that we do that puts us in a bind, we could then turn around and argue. I mean, where would it stop? Where would it stop for DraftKings or anybody else? Because they would just go first and they're the biggest. And I'm not saying these guys didn't lose the money. It's very true stories. But, I mean, I don't know how to make the comparison. Feel free to disagree. I don't know how that this would be any different. You may have a moral problem with it, but we're talking about a legal problem now, and this would be billions of dollars. How is this different than the store that sells alcohol? They want you to come in. They offer you buy a case of wine for the price of 10. I mean, they incentivize you all the time to come in and buy more. I know. I do it. So how would it be different? Yeah, they want you to keep coming back. I don't know that you're an addict. I know that you keep buying a lot. And I was pretty happy about that. But, I mean, how do you have a perfect line right down the middle? Gambling is a huge risk. It can be incredibly addictive. And they want you to bet. I don't think they can pay. I don't think they could settle. I don't think, because that just seems like this would never stop, would it? I mean, you would be paying out over every abuse. I mean, unless you can, do you want to say that they should know more about you? Then that's a problem all by itself. They should know more about you, and so that way they should know more when you're an addict. They should know more about your net worth to know when to cut you off. I just don't know how you could measure that. I know it sucks. I know it's sad. I know it's tragic and it's real. I don't know how a legal product can be forced to pay $1 in a case like this.